Some gifts arrive wrapped in silk ribbons and soaked in blood. Rima smelled the danger before she saw it. It came in the form of her stepsister, Yetunde, standing in the doorway of her small room, holding a white gift box tied with pink ribbons. The smile on Yetunde's face was the kind that didn't reach her eyes, the kind that had preceded every terrible thing that had happened to Rima in the 7 years since her father died. "What do you want?" Rima asked, setting down the blouse she was ironing. In 3 days, she would wear this blouse to the registry. In 3 days, she would marry Ebuka Nwosu, the hotel mogul who had seen her cleaning tables at his restaurant and decided her quiet strength was more beautiful than any woman he'd met in Lagos high society. "Is that how you greet your sister?" Yetunde stepped inside without invitation, her expensive perfume filling the tiny room like smoke. "I come bearing gifts and you are acting like I'm your enemy." "We both know what we are to each other," Rima said quietly. Yetunde's smile widened, sharp as broken glass. "Well, since you are getting married in 3 days, to a billionaire, I thought we should bury the past. Mama Say and I, we want you to be happy." Rima's hands stilled on the iron. Mama Say, her stepmother, had spent 7 years making sure Rima understood she would never be happy, making her sleep in the boys' quarters while Yetunde took Rima's childhood bedroom, serving her rice with no stew while Yetunde ate fried chicken, forcing her to wash everyone's clothes by hand while hers went to the dry cleaner. And now they wanted her to be happy. "What's in the box?" Rima asked. "Open it and see." Yetunde thrust it toward her. Inside was a jar of cream, expensive looking, with gold lettering she couldn't read, foreign, the kind of thing that cost more than Rima made in a month selling her small provisions at the market. "It's a pre-wedding beauty treatment," Yetunde explained, watching her face too carefully. "You use it for 3 nights before your wedding. It's what all the society brides use. Makes your skin glow like the sun." Rima touched the jar carefully, as if it might burn her. This must have cost a fortune. 30,000 naira, Yetunde said proudly, "but you are worth it. You are about to become Mrs. Nwosu. You need to look the part." 30,000 naira, the same amount Rima had begged Mama Sei for last year when she needed an operation for her infected tooth. The same amount Mama Sei had refused, saying if God wanted you to keep that tooth, he would provide the money. Rima lost the tooth. "Thank you," she said, because refusing would create problems she didn't have the strength to fight, not when she was this close to escaping. 3 more days and she would be free. "Use it tonight," Yetunde insisted, her eyes glittering strangely. "Tomorrow night and the night before the wedding. Promise me." "I promise." After Yetunde left, Rima sat on her mattress, thin and lumpy, springs poking through in places, and stared at the cream. Through the thin wooden walls, she could hear voices, Yetunde and Mama Sei, talking low and fast. Rima pressed her ear to the wall. Did she take it? Yes, she promised to use it tonight. Good. By tomorrow, her face will be ruined. That billionaire will take one look at her and run. Laughter, cold and victorious. And then, that was Mama Sei. To her, then I'll comfort him. Poor Ebuka, his bride disfigured just before the wedding. He'll need a shoulder to cry on, and I'll be there, beautiful and whole and ready. Rima's blood turned to ice in her veins. The cream was poison. They wanted to destroy her face so Ebuka would marry Yetunde instead. Her hands shook as she picked up the jar, turning it over, looking at the innocent white cream inside. How much hatred did it take to do something like this? How much jealousy could live in a human heart before it rotted everything around it? She thought about using the cream anyway, about letting it burn her face, letting Ebuka see her ruined, testing whether his love was real or just surface deep like everyone else's. But no, she hadn't survived 7 years in this house by being foolish. She'd survived by being smart, by staying quiet and watching, by learning her enemies better than they knew themselves. Rima wrapped the cream carefully in a plastic bag and hid it under her mattress. Then she lay down in the darkness and began to plan. If they wanted to destroy her, she would let them think they had succeeded. She would disappear, hide, watch them celebrate their victory, and then, when they were drunk on their own cruelty, she would strike back. Not with poison, not with violence, with truth, the kind of truth that burns brighter and hotter than any acid ever could. The best weapon against your enemies is letting them think they've already won. Rima left before sunrise, when the compound was still dark except for the flickering street lamp that had been broken for 3 months. She carried one bag, the same faded duffel she'd used since secondary school, stuffed with clothes, her father's photograph, and the jar of poisoned cream wrapped in 3 plastic bags. She walked quickly through the empty streets of Mushin, past the closed shops and sleeping beggars, heading toward Yaba, where her friend Adaku lived. Adaku, the only person from her old life she still trusted, the only person who'd stood by her when Mama said he moved in and began erasing Rima from her own home. The early morning air was cool against her skin, carrying the smell of rain that hadn't fallen yet. Rima's phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Ebuka. "Good morning, my wife. 2 more days. I can't wait to spend forever with you." Her throat tightened. Forever. Such a beautiful word. Such a terrifying promise. She wanted to text him back, explain everything, beg him to trust her, but what could she say? That her family was trying to disfigure her? That she was running away 2 days before their wedding? They would think she was crazy. Or worse, he might confront Mama Seyi and Yetunde, and without proof, it would be her word against theirs. No, she needed evidence. Real, undeniable evidence. "Good morning, I love you," she texted back. Short, simple, true. Adaku opened her door before Rima could knock, as if she'd been waiting. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. "Come in quickly," she said, pulling Rima inside the small self-contained apartment. "Are you sure about this?" "I'm sure." Rima set down her bag and pulled out the cream. "But first, I need you to take this to your brother, the one who works at the pharmacy lab." "Chidi?" Adaku took the jar carefully, holding it like it might explode. "What am I telling him to test for?" "Anything that could hurt someone. Acid, poison, anything that doesn't belong in beauty cream." Adaku stared at her for a long moment. Then she grabbed her car keys. "I'll be back in 2 hours. Don't open the door for anyone." After she left, Rima sat on the edge of Adaku's bed and let herself cry. Not pretty crying, not the kind you see in movies, but the ugly, painful kind that comes from 7 years of swallowed pain finally forcing its way out. She cried for her father, who died in a car accident and left her with a woman who saw her as competition instead of a daughter. She cried for the girl she used to be before Mama Seyi taught her that love was conditional and family was a word people used to justify cruelty. She cried for all the time she smiled and said, "Yes, ma," while dying inside. And then she stopped crying, washed her face, and started planning. Adaku returned 3 hours later, her face pale, her hands shaking as she held a printed lab report. "Rima," her voice cracked. "The cream contains hydrochloric acid mixed with a chemical compound that would have eaten through your skin within hours of application. Chidi said if you'd use this on your face." She couldn't finish. Rima took the report with steady hands. She'd known, of course, but knowing and seeing were different things. The lab report made it real, made it undeniable. "I need copies of this," she said quietly. "At least 5 copies. "Already done. Chidi made 10. He also said we should report this to the police." "We will, but not yet." Adaku sat down heavily. "Rima, these people tried to kill you. What are you waiting for?" "I'm waiting to see who else is involved." Rima opened her phone. "Watch." She sent a message to Neka, a woman from her old neighborhood who'd always been kind, always been supportive. "Neka, I need to talk to you. Something terrible happened. Can you come to Adaku's place? I'm scared and I don't know what to do." The reply came within seconds. "What happened? Are you okay?" "I used the cream Yetunde gave me. My face, Neka, my face is burning. I look like a monster. Ebuka can't see me like this. The wedding is ruined." Another quick reply. "Oh my God, I'm coming now. Send me the address." But Rima didn't send the address. Instead, she and Adaku waited, watching Rima's phone. 15 minutes later, Rima's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Hello? Rima? This is Dr. Okafor from St. Nicholas Hospital. We received a call about a chemical burn emergency. Your friend Neka said you need immediate medical attention. She gave us this number. What's your current location?" Rima's blood ran cold. "I didn't ask Neka to call any hospital." Silence. On the other end, then, she said you were too traumatized to think clearly, that your face was severely burned and you needed help. "Thank you, doctor, but I'm fine. There's been a misunderstanding." She hung up and looked at Adaku. "Neka is spreading the story, making sure everyone knows my face is ruined. Why would she do that?" "Money, probably. Or maybe Yetunde promised her something. It doesn't matter." Rima's voice was hard now, cold as the Hamatan wind. "What matters is, now I know." Her phone buzzed again. A text from Neka. "I called a doctor for you. He's very good with burn victims. Please let him help you." Rima didn't reply. Instead, she turned off her phone and pulled out the SIM card. "What now?" Adaku asked. "Now we wait until tomorrow. Let them think the poison worked. Let them celebrate. Meanwhile, I need you to do something for me. Anything.
Find me a makeup artist, the best one you know, someone who can make me look like a queen. Adaku's eyes widened as she understood. You're going to the wedding. I'm not just going to the wedding, Rima said, her voice quiet but filled with something sharp and dangerous. I'm going to make sure everyone sees exactly who tried to destroy me, and I'm going to make sure they never forget it. That night, Rima couldn't sleep. She lay on Adaku's couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of Lagos outside, generators humming, people arguing, music playing somewhere in the distance. Her phone buzzed. Ebuka. He'd been trying to reach her all day. Rima, where are you? I went to your house. Your stepmother said you disappeared. She seemed happy about it. Please tell me you're okay. Please tell me you're not having second thoughts about us. Her heart cracked. She could picture him, tall, handsome, powerful, standing outside Mama Sei's date, confused and hurt, while Mama Sei smiled and lied and pretended to care. She wanted to call him, to hear his voice, to tell him everything. But tomorrow was the wedding. One more day and she could tell him the truth face to face. One more day and this nightmare would be over. I'm okay, she texted back. I promise I will explain everything tomorrow. Trust me. Please, trust me. His reply took a long time to come. I trust you with my whole heart. I'll see you tomorrow, my wife. Rima closed her eyes and tried to imagine tomorrow. The wedding venue, the guests, Mama Sei and Yetunde sitting in the front row, dressed in their best, waiting for Rima not to show up, waiting to play the concerned family, to comfort poor abandoned Ebuka. She imagined walking in, her face perfect and glowing, their shock and horror when they realized their poison had failed. She imagined the truth spilling out like water from a broken dam, drowning them in their own cruelty. And for the first time in 7 years, Rima smiled. Not a small smile, not a polite smile, but the kind of smile that comes before a storm.
Revenge doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks into a room wearing a wedding dress and carrying receipts. The morning of her wedding, Rema woke to the sound of rain drumming against Adaku's window. Heavy, relentless Lagos rain that turned the streets into rivers and the sky into a grey blanket. Bad omen, Adaku said, bringing her tea. Rain on your wedding day. No, Rema took the cup, breathing in the steam. Rain washes things clean. Today, everything gets washed clean. The makeup artist arrived at 8, a tall woman named Zainab, who took one look at Rema's face and whistled low. Your skin is perfect. What do you use? Prayers and palmolive soap, Rema said, and they both laughed. But as Zainab walked, painting, blending, transforming, Rema's mind was elsewhere. She was running through the plan, checking every detail, making sure nothing could go wrong. The wedding was set for noon at the Golden Tulip Event Center in Victoria Island. Ebuka had invited 300 people, business associates, family, friends, everyone who mattered in Lagos society. Mama Sei and Yetunde would be there, front and center, waiting for a wedding that they thought would never happen. Rama called the event planner that morning, confirming everything was ready. The woman sounded surprised to hear from her. Oh, Miss Rema, your stepmother called yesterday saying you might not make it. Something about an accident. There was no accident, Rema said calmly. I'll be there. Make sure the projector and sound system are working. I have a special presentation for the guests. Now, looking at herself in the mirror, Rema barely recognized the woman staring back. The wedding dress, simple, elegant, white as fresh paint, fitted perfectly. Her makeup was flawless. Her hair was styled in an updo that made her neck look long and regal. She looked like a bride. She looked like a queen. She looked like someone who couldn't be broken. You're beautiful, Adaku whispered, tears in her eyes. I'm ready, Rema corrected. She picked up her bag. Inside it, 10 copies of the lab report, a flash drive containing evidence she'd gathered, and her father's photograph. She touched his face through the plastic, wishing he could see this moment. Daddy, watch what I do to the people who tried to destroy your daughter. The rain had stopped by the time they arrived at the venue, leaving the air clean and sharp. The event center was magnificent. White flowers everywhere, golden ribbons, crystal chandeliers catching the afternoon light and throwing rainbows across the walls. Rama sat in the bridal suite, listening to the sounds of guests arriving. Laughter, music, the clink of glasses. People who had no idea what kind of wedding this would be. Adaku peeked through the door. They're here, Mama Sei and Yetunde, front row, left side. And Rema, she paused. Yetunde is wearing a cream dress, not white but close, like she's a backup bride. Rema's hands curled into fists. Of course, Yetunde had come prepared to step in when Rema didn't show up, to comfort Ebuka, to offer herself as a replacement for the bride whose face had been ruined. "Is Neka here?" Rema asked. "Third row. She keeps looking around, whispering to people, spreading rumors probably." "Good, let her talk. Soon everyone will know the truth." At 11:45, the event planner knocked on the door. "Miss Rema, it's time. Are you ready?" Rema stood up, smoothed down her dress, and looked at herself one last time in the mirror. The woman looking back wasn't the girl who used to scrub floors while her stepsister watched TV, wasn't the girl who ate bones while others ate meat, wasn't the girl who learned to make herself small to avoid trouble. This woman took up space. This woman demanded to be seen. "I'm ready," she said. The music changed as Rema appeared at the entrance. All 300 guests turned to look. The gasps were audible, rolling through the room like thunder. Because Rema's face wasn't ruined, wasn't scarred, wasn't burned. It was perfect. She walked slowly down the aisle, her eyes fixed on Ebuka standing at the altar. His face showed pure relief and joy. He hadn't believed the rumors, but she could see he was worried. Behind him, his best man was grinning. But Rema's attention was drawn to the left side, front row, where Mama Seyi sat frozen like a statue, her mouth open in shock. Beside her, Yetunde had gone pale, her carefully made-up face crumbling as she realized the poison had failed. Rema reached the altar and took Ebuka's hand. He was trembling. "You came. I knew you would come," he whispered. "I need to do something first. Trust me," she whispered back. Before he could respond, Rema turned to face the guests. The pastor, confused, stepped back. "Ladies and gentlemen," Rema's voice rang out clear and strong. "Thank you for coming to witness what should be the happiest day of my life. But before we continue, there's something you all need to know, a truth that's been hidden for too long." The room went silent. Even the musicians stopped playing. 3 days ago, I received a gift from my stepmother and stepsister. This cream. They said it would make me beautiful for my wedding. They said it cost 30,000 naira. They said it was made with love. She held it up so everyone could see. But what they didn't tell me was that this cream contained hydrochloric acid. It was designed to burn my face, to disfigure me, to make sure that when my fiancé saw me today, he would run in horror. Gasps were louder now. People were pulling out their phones, recording. Mama Seyi tried to stand up, but she seemed unable to move. "How do I know this?" Rema continued. "I had it tested." She nodded to Adaku, who'd been waiting in the wings. Adaku connected a flash drive to the venue's projector, and suddenly the lab report appeared on the large screen behind the altar. Official, detailed, damning. The lab confirmed it. This cream would have destroyed my face within hours. I would have been scarred permanently, and the wedding would have been cancelled. She turned to look at Yetunde, who was crying now, mascara running down her face in black rivers. "But that wasn't the end of their plan, was it, Yetunde? Tell everyone what you were supposed to do after my face was ruined." Yetunde shook her head frantically, but Rema was relentless. "You were going to comfort my fiancé, step in as the beautiful, unscarred alternative. Take my life, take my life." "That's a lie." Yetunde finally found her voice, standing up. "She's lying. We would never." "Then explain this." Adaku changed the slide. Now the screen showed WhatsApp messages, conversations between Yetunde and Neka, discussing the plan, laughing about how stupid Rema was, how easy it would be to fool her. Yetunde, she actually believed we care about her. Neka, too trusting. That's always been her problem. Yetunde, by tomorrow her face will be finished and Ebuka will be mine. The room erupted in shocked whispers. People were standing now, pointing, staring at Yetunde and Mama Seyi with disgust. Neka tried to slip out through a side door, but security guards, alerted earlier by Rema, blocked her exit. "This is wickedness," someone shouted from the back. "How can family do this to family?" another voice cried. Mama Seyi finally stood, her face twisted with rage. "You ungrateful child, after everything we did for you, we gave you a home, fed you, clothed you.
You gave me scraps. Rema's voice rose for the first time, cracking with 7 years of held-back pain. You took my father's house and made me a stranger in it. You took my inheritance and spent it on your daughter while I slept on a mattress with broken springs. You fed me bones while she ate meat. And when something good finally happened to me, when someone finally saw value in me, you tried to destroy it. The room had gone completely silent except for the sound of Mama Seyi's heavy breathing and Yetunde's crying. Ebuka stepped forward and took the microphone from Rema's hand, his voice heavy with emotion. I need to say something, he said. When I met Rema, I didn't see a poor girl or a rich man's opportunity. I saw someone with a pure heart in a world full of people whose hearts are rotten with greed. He turned to look at Mama Seyi and Yetunde. You tried to destroy her face because you thought that's all I loved, but you are wrong. If Rema had walked down that aisle today with scars all over her face, I would still have married her. Because what I love isn't her skin, it's her spirit, and that's something your poison could never touch. The applause started small, then grew like a wave filling the entire hall. Rema felt tears running down her face, but she didn't wipe them away. These were clean tears, healing tears. Can we get married now? She asked Ebuka, smiling through her tears. I thought you would never ask, he laughed, a sound full of relief and joy and promise. Want to know what happens next? How Rema built her new life? Subscribe and turn on notifications. This story isn't over yet.
The hardest part of winning isn't the battle. It's learning to live in the peace that comes after. The ceremony was beautiful in a way Rema hadn't expected. After the police took Mama Seyi and Yetunde away, after the shock settled and the whispers died down, something remarkable happened. The guests stayed. All 300 of them. They didn't live in discomfort or gossip their way to the exit. They stayed and witnessed Rema and Ebuka say I do. They stayed and clapped when the pastor pronounced them husband and wife. They stayed and cheered when Ebuka kissed his bride like she was the most precious thing in the world. But more than that, they celebrated her. During the reception, woman after woman approached Rema. Some she knew, most she didn't, but they all had the same look in their eyes, recognition. Thank you for speaking up, one elderly woman said, gripping Rema's hands with surprising strength. My own stepdaughter tried to poison me 20 years ago. Nobody believed me, but you made them see the truth. A younger woman, maybe 19, pulled Rema aside during the dancing. I'm living with my stepmother now. She treats me like death. But watching you today, you gave me hope that it doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't, Rema told her, pressing a business card into her hand, Adaku's number. Tell her this woman if you ever need help. Tell her I sent you. You don't have to suffer in silence. Even Ebuka's mother, a woman Rema had only met twice and who had seemed reserved about the marriage, pulled her into a tight hug. My son chose well, she whispered into her ear. Not because you are beautiful or because you handled that situation with grace, but because you have steel in your spine. You need that being married to a man like Ebuka. The world will test you. I'm glad you know how to fight back. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, Rema found herself standing on the balcony overlooking the event center gardens. Ebuka found her there, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Hiding from your own wedding reception? He teased. Just thinking. About whether I did the right thing, exposing them like that, in front of everyone. Maybe I should have just gone to the police quietly. Maybe I didn't need to make it so public. Ebuka turned her around to face him. You did exactly the right thing. You know why? Why? Because silence protects abusers. If you'd gone to the police quietly, your stepmother would have told everyone you were lying, that you were bitter, that you were trying to destroy her reputation out of jealousy. She would have played the victim and gotten away with it. He cupped her face gently. But now, 300 people saw the evidence, the lab reports, the messages, the truth, and they will tell 3,000 people who will tell 30,000. Your stepmother can't hide from this. She can't rewrite the story. The truth is out there now, and truth has a way of protecting other people from predators. Rema leaned into his chest, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong. What happens now to them? The police said attempted grievous bodily harm carries serious charges, especially with the evidence we have. They are looking at years in prison. And Nneka? She's trying to cut a deal, testifying against them in exchange for a lighter sentence. Ebuka paused. Are you okay with that? Rima thought about Nneka, the woman who helped braid her hair when she couldn't afford a salon, the woman who smiled in her face while plotting her destruction. I don't want revenge, Rima said slowly. I just want them to understand that actions have consequences, that you can't hurt people and walk away clean. They'll understand now, Ebuka assured her. 3 weeks later, Rima sat in a courtroom wearing a simple blue dress, her hand in Ebuka's, watching as the judge read out the sentences. Mama Say, 5 years imprisonment for attempted grievous bodily harm. Yetunde, 3 years, imprisonment for conspiracy and attempted grievous bodily harm. Nneka, 2 years suspended sentence and community service for conspiracy. When it was done, when the judge's gavel fell with finality, Rima felt nothing, no joy, just a quiet sense of closure. She expected to feel victorious, to feel like she had won some great battle, but all she felt was tired and ready to move forward. As they left the courthouse, reporters swarmed them. The story had gone viral. Mrs. Nwosu, how do you feel about the verdict? Mrs. Nwosu, do you forgive your stepmother? Mrs. Nwosu, what message do you have for other young women facing abuse? Ebuka's security team tried to push them through, but Rima stopped. She turned to face the cameras, the microphones, the hungry eyes of people wanting a soundbite. I want to say something, and the crowd quieted. To every young woman watching this, every girl feeling trapped, every person who thinks they have to accept cruelty because it's coming from family, you don't. You deserve better. You deserve safety. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions or poison. Her voice grew stronger. Don't stay silent to keep the peace. Don't make yourself small to avoid conflict. Don't swallow abuse to maintain family harmony, because the only person you are hurting is yourself. But what about forgiveness? A reporter called out. Don't you think forgiveness is important? Rima considered this. Forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. Forgiveness isn't letting people hurt you again. Real forgiveness means you release the anger so it doesn't poison you, but you still protect yourself from the people who try to poison you. I forgive my stepmother, but I'll never let her near me again. That's not hate, that's wisdom. The cameras flashed, the reporters scribbled, and Rima knew her words would spread, would reach girls sitting in rooms like the one she used to occupy, girls who needed to hear that escape was possible. The opposite of destruction isn't survival, it's creation. 6 months after the wedding, Rema stood in front of a building in Ikeja, looking up at the sign being installed above the door. Rema's Haven, shelter and skills training for young women. It had been Ebuka's idea initially. You have a platform now, he'd said one morning over breakfast. Thousands of women see you as a symbol of surviving family abuse. What if you gave them more than just inspiration? What if you gave them practical help? And so, Rema's Haven was born. Part shelter, part vocational training center, part support group. A place where young women escaping abusive family situations could learn skills, catering, fashion design, computer programming, small business management, while also receiving counseling and legal support. The funding came from Ebuka's company and from donations that poured in after Rema's story went viral. But the heart of the place, the counselors, the trainers, the whole atmosphere, that was all Rema. First day nerves, Adaku asked, coming to stand beside her. Adaku now served as the Haven's administrator, having quit her banking job to join Rema full-time. Terrified, Rema admitted. What if I can't help them? What if this isn't enough? It's more than enough, a voice said behind her. Rema turned to find a young woman, maybe 20 years old, standing there with a small bag. Her clothes were worn but clean. Her eyes were frightened but hopeful. My name is Chioma, the girl said. I saw your story on Facebook. My stepfather, She couldn't finish, but she didn't need to. Rema took her hands. You're safe now. Come inside. Let me show you your room.
As she led Chioma through the doors, past the dining hall where meals would be served, past the training rooms where skills would be taught, past the counseling offices where healing would happen, Rema felt something shift in her chest. This was why she had survived, not just for herself, but for girls like Chioma, for every person who needed to know that their story didn't have to end with their abuser winning. That evening, Rema and Ebuka sat on the balcony of their home in Lekki, watching the sun set over Lagos. The city sprawled before them, chaotic, beautiful, full of millions of stories like Rema's. "You know what I realized today?" Rema said, leaning her head on Ebuka's shoulder. "What?" "That revenge isn't about destroying the people who hurt you. Real revenge is building something so beautiful, so meaningful, that their hatred can't touch it." She thought about Mama Seyi in prison, probably still bitter, still blaming Rema for her circumstances. She thought about Yetunde, learning that beauty without character was worthless. She thought about all the years she'd spent being small, being quiet, being invisible. "I used to think my stepmother took everything from me, my home, my inheritance, my peace. But she couldn't take the one thing that mattered, my ability to choose who I wanted to become." Ebuka kissed her forehead. "And who did you choose to become?" Rema smiled. "Someone who turns poison into purples. Someone who uses her pain to prevent others' pain. Someone who knows that surviving isn't enough. You have to transform what tried to kill you into something that brings life." Her phone buzzed. A message from Chioma, the girl from earlier. "Thank you for giving me a safe place. I haven't felt safe in 3 years. Tonight, I'm going to sleep without fear. That's because of you." Rema showed the message to Ebuka, and they sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun disappear below the horizon. The girl who used to eat bones while others ate meat was gone. The woman who sat here now ran a shelter, helped the helpless, spoke truth to power, and refused to let anyone make her small ever again. Mama Seyi had tried to destroy her with poison, but Rema had turned that poison into medicine for others. And that, more than any jail sentence, more than any public humiliation, was the ultimate victory. If Rema's story touched your heart, share it with anyone who needs to remember that their abusers don't get to write the ending of their story. And subscribe to this channel for more African folktales with modern lessons. Drop a comment telling us what you learned from this story.